Local nonprofits that have stepped in to provide vital resources to those struggling during this pandemic are now getting a much needed boost, and it's all thanks to a Denver grant program, and more money is now available. Denver 7's Eddie Guajardo shows us how this funding has helped one group continue its efforts to make sure Coloradans have food on the table.
The bees pollinate, farmers pick.
These are some tomatoes.
And in 2020, the pandemic planted a panic.
We had lines of people waiting for Veggie Bike. Specifically, seniors were afraid to go to the grocery store.
The Table Urban Farm, a nonprofit, ramped up efforts.
We felt this profound sense of responsibility to grow as much food as we possibly could, and we worked tirelessly to do so.
Planting, picking, and packing their Veggie Bike to peddle to food deserts and communities in need.
Everything that we grow is given back to the community for free.
Food to fuel people struggling to this day.
This plot has already produced 360 pounds.
That's just so far this year.
These are ground cherries.
Janine Brook is the co-director of the nonprofit and a farmer.
They're ripe when they fall to the ground.
Volunteers plant 30 varieties.
They're perfect.
Of vegetables across 15 plots of borrowed property in Denver.
Cherry tomatoes and slicing tomatoes to onions and leeks and potatoes and peas and broccoli and greens and herbs.
Their demand grew during the pandemic, but donations shrunk. In 2020, the organization qualified for the nonprofit Emergency Relief Fund grant.
Onions.
The relief funded by the CARES Act was put in place by Denver Economic Development and Opportunity. Last year, the program distributed $3 million to help more than 300 nonprofits continue their efforts in the community.
Jalapenos.
This year, the program was extended. $485,000 will be available, and nonprofits in Denver can request up to $15,000.
You have a lot of nonprofit organizations who last year were attempting to fundraise to support their operations and services for this year, and we're seeing shortfalls.
We will definitely continue to apply for grant funding.
She says the money will be used to keep giving back to their community, food access, education, and planting the seed to sow it forward.
One of the things that we know is so important is education with food, because our average eater is so disconnected from their food source.
Eddie Guajardo, Denver 7.
And the deadline for nonprofits to apply for grants is September 30th.